But then, first, let's start with the title then. You can understand City's celebrations there, but is it a foregone conclusion?
It's not over till it's over, Rob. I remember in May 2022, I was in the Anfield press box and news was coming through that Man City were 2-0 down against Aston Villa with 15 minutes to go. Of course, they managed to turn it around and get away with it that day, but Liverpool weren't far away from stealing it from them on the last day. Of course, the Aguero moment in 2012. They don't always do it easily on the final day, Man City. And of course, what version of West Ham are they going to be up against? Because we've seen West Ham win at Arsenal this season. They've drawn against Liverpool. We've also seen them concede 5 goals against Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Obviously, David Moyes' final game. Will they be playing with freedom, or will they maybe just be overwhelmed by a City team just completely up for this and clinching the title? So, until that final whistle blows, it's not quite done. But it's what we've been talking about for months, isn't it? City on this charge in the second half of the season, putting themselves in pole position once again.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it's going to be difficult for it not to be City, just because of that record against West Ham as well. They're unbeaten in their last 16 games against them, a run that stretches back to September 2015, a time when David Cameron was Prime Minister of the UK. That was the same month Wayne Rooney became England's all-time top goal scorer, overtaking Bobby Charlton. It was a long time ago, is my point. But then you look at Arsenal versus Everton as well. They've got an exceptional record against them at home. They haven't lost to them since 2010. So it feels like both those games could be done. But on the basis of last night, there will be more twists and turns. I mean, very few people gave Spurs a chance, given their recent form. You know, City's recent form being imperious in that as well. They'd won their previous 7 games going into last night. They'd scored 4 or more goals in 6 of those games. And yet there was that nervy moment. Yet that was that save, which we'll come on to in due course. So I agree with Pete. There could be another twist, but City definitely have the advantage.
Yeah, because a draw, if Arsenal were to win, because a goal difference wouldn't be enough. It has to be a victory. James, all season, though, we've been checking that Opta Predictor, their supercomputer, which has been working 24 hours, 7 days a week. Is it starting to take a rest now, a little breather? What was it saying last night?
Nearly not quite. The percentages have gone up and down throughout the campaign, but we can see the final predictor ahead of the final weekend of the season. Last night's victory for Man City was huge, and that's backed up by the fact their title chances went from 59% pre-match to 84% now. Now, Arsenal's victory at Old Trafford had moved their chance of winning the title up to 41%, the highest it's been this season. But Spurs failing to do them a favour last night means they have just a 16% chance of glory on Sunday. And it's worth a reminder of Opta's predictions at the start of the season. The supercomputer simulated the season 10,000 times to see how the campaign may play out. Man City won in 90.2% of the simulations, Arsenal in just 4.1%. So Arsenal have a much better chance of winning the title heading into the final game week of the season than they did in pre-season. So there's something to cling on to.
Yeah. The bookmakers make both of them favourites to win, both of them odds on, but Arsenal 6-1 on, Manchester City 10-1 on. So it looks like, well, if you believe that, 4th Premier League title in a row potentially on the cards then. I'm thinking about the biggest achievement by a side in Premier League history because of longevity, or just something like Leicester eclipse even 4 in a row. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think Leicester maybe up there. Arsenal Invincibles, of course, let's not forget them. But 4 in a row is pretty special, isn't it, in terms of what the players have done. In terms of a sporting achievement, certainly, of course, there's always that little asterisk at the moment with Man City, isn't there, with the 115 charges and the foundations of what they've created. That obviously being investigated at the moment. But in terms of what the players have delivered, to deliver that consistency year in, year out, that really is very impressive from them. The other thing I guess you could talk about is the quality of their rivals, maybe. Man United won 3 in a row when Rooney and Ronaldo were really at their pomp, and that felt like a really special era, an impressive era to win those titles back to back. And Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United in those sort of 2003, 2004, that sort of real golden period as well for the Premier League. So, you know, that's a debate that's going to run and run. But I think in terms of Man City and those players, what they've done, they couldn't do much more. And I think this is really putting them, you know, historic achievement in Premier League history. And those players will have their place whenever we talk about the great Premier League teams.
Yeah, deservedly so, deservedly so. In terms of a single achievement, I still prefer Leicester. I mean, everyone loves an underdog story. Man City is just not an underdog story, but they still, as Pete says, deserve respect for what they've achieved. You know, they've also in this period become the second English side to win a treble. This year they could become the first English side to ever win a back-to-back double, which people are kind of forgetting about as well if they beat Man United, as many people expect them to. It's been an unprecedented period of success, and that's why I just don't put any shame on Liverpool or Arsenal if they don't get over the line this year. It's been the case of the best manager in Premier League history with a collection of some of the best players in Premier League history. And for the early part of his reign, at least, very strong spending, at least. And even in the last few years, they've managed to bring down that net spend through selling high-quality players that they brought in previously. So it's just incredibly difficult for anyone to top them. And who would bet against them backing it up next year as well?
And part of that is, you need to be faultless, basically, to beat this team now. They've set the bar where you need to basically get 90 points in a season to win the title, which, those previous teams I spoke about, the points totals were a little bit lower, but you almost have to be perfect to beat this Man City team.
Yeah. I mean, Man United only got over 90 points 3 times under Sir Alex Ferguson. If City win on Sunday, that'd be the 4th time in the last 7 years. So it's never been done before.
OK. Haaland's goals, obviously key, but the man next to him, Kevin De Bruyne, another assist for him, James. That moves him up the list for most assists in the Premier League, doesn't it? Yeah,
it was a trademark move from the Belgian midfielder, which led to Haaland's opener last night. How many times have we seen that? And it's an assist which moves him past Cesc Fabregas onto 112 in the Premier League. Now, only 4 other players have 100 Premier League assists or more, and none of these others here reached 100 faster than Kevin De Bruyne. Though he's still 50 behind Ryan Giggs' all-time record of 162. That tally does seem a long way off. De Bruyne has 1 year left on his contract. You'd think he'd probably need a couple more seasons on top of that to catch Giggs. But either way, he's in elite company.